Hi guys. Okay, so we're starting lesson 9.2, and this is going to last us a few days. And this is how we graph these quadratic functions. So the first thing you need to do, again, is to find that vertex, and that's why that was so important. So you find your x by using this formula, and then you substitute that x back into the equation to find your y. So and there we go. That's how you find your vertex. That's how you do that. When you graph these, and your graph looks like this, you end up with two solutions. So when they're talking about solutions, they're talking about your x-intercepts. Sometimes they call them solutions. Sometimes they call them roots. Sometimes they call them zeros. And I think there's another one. I think that's it. So if you look here, there's two solutions. On this one, it crosses the x in one spot, so that it has one solution. And here it doesn't touch the x at all, so it has no solutions. All right, so let's grab out our calculators. I'll give you a minute to grab those because you definitely need them. And I'll show you how to graph these. All right, so use the table of values to graph each function, find the roots, zeros, x-intercept solutions, find the vertex first, and it goes in the middle right here. So that kind of tells you what your first value is, so you know what other values to use. So on this one, again, we are using that equation. So to find x, it's the opposite of b. So the opposite of b is a -8 divided by 2 times my a, which is -2. Remember, this is a, this is your b, and that's your c. Again, solve these numerator and denominator separately. If you run this into a calculator, you're probably not going to get the right answer. So I got x as equal to 2. So that's my x value here. It is also part of my vertex here. I'm going to take this value of 2, substitute it back into this equation. So y is equal to a -2 times 2 squared plus 8 times 2 minus 5. Now, clear out my calculator, and I'm going to substitute that in. So I'm going to put -2 parentheses 2 squared plus 8 times 2 minus 5 equals, and my solution is 3. So my y equals 3. So that's my ordered pair. That's that vertex. That's this, this, or this. Okay, has nothing to do with my solutions. That's just the minimum or maximum. Now I can use the next consecutive number. So 2, 3, 4, and then I'm going to go the other way to put 2 and 0. Now I'm going to go back into my calculator, and I'm just going to arrow up and substitute my 0 in where all those 2's were, and I get -5. It's an easy way to do that. Then I'm going to do the same thing with the 1. Pay attention when you're doing it, because it doesn't always work. You have to pay attention to it. So 1. Next, I'll put the 3 in. I get 1 again. Don't be surprised. And then I'm going to put a 4 in. And I get a -5. So notice here that this is like one of those palindromes. So that's like the word race car, where you can read it this way or this way. It's the same thing. So you start at that vertex, and then it goes that way, and then it repeats itself going that way. That's because of the shape. Wish you could see all this, right? That's because of the shape of a parabola. So let's go ahead and plot these. So 0, -5. So that's our y-intercept, and that really does make sense because this right here is your constant. It doesn't have a variable. Usually this is your y-intercept as long as you're in a y equals format. Next one is 1, 1, 2, 3. We're a little off the chart. 3, 1, 4, 5. So since it makes this parabola, you can see why you've got this axis of symmetry, and that is why you have these numbers that are like a palindrome. My domain is always all real numbers because it's all the numbers on my x. But for the y, it doesn't go any higher here. So since this is the maximum, all of these are lower than. All of these values are less than. So that would be y is less than or equal to the value here of my y, which is 3. How many solutions do I have? I have 2 solutions, here and here. And I'm going to estimate what they are. In your assignment, you're actually going to be, you'll be able to see it. But this one looks like what? I don't know, 0.75. And the next one looks like 1, 2, 3 point something, 75, 3.25. So those are estimations. Those would be my solutions. Sometimes you've got them, there'll be 2. Like on this one there was 2. Sometimes there will be none, and sometimes there'll be just the 1. And sometimes they'll put them in these little brackets. That's a set of solutions. Let's try the next one. You'll get the hang of these. Just as long as I can, so you can see my picture here. All right, so the same thing, vertex first. So it says the opposite of b, which would be 6, divided by 2 times my a, which is 3. So this is my x. 6 divided by 6 is 1. Then I'm going to substitute this 1 back into the equation and solve for x. I'm sorry, solve for y. Okay, so here's my x. That goes here. Also here. Calculator time. Hopefully you got a -2. Okay. Now I know I'm going to go up 1 and then go backwards 1. Okay, so I'm going to plug in 2 and 3 only because I know these are going to be the same. So I'm going to plug in my 2. And I get 1. Then I'm going to plug in my 10. I'm sorry, a 3 to get 10. Okay, so going backwards, this would be a 1, and then this one would be a 10. I'm going to graph these. So -1, 10. I cannot get to 10. So let's go up by 2. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Sometimes it's good to go up by 2s. 0, 1. 1, -2. So it's -2. 2, 1, 3, 10. So again, a parabola has this axis of symmetry. So this one was right here. So it's equally divided. So it's equal on this side as it is this side. My domain, all real numbers, always for a parabola. And my range depends on this right here, that minimum in here. So all my y values are greater than or equal to -2. So I can get my -2 from here or the y value of my vertex. And again, my axis of symmetry is really the x value, so it's 1, of my vertex. I have 2 solutions, and I'm going to have to estimate these as well. I don't think I did this one very good. Really should be more like that. Okay, so this looks like estimation, has this little squiggly, so it's not exactly equal. I think maybe 0.25, and then this one would be 1.75. Okay, and we're done. On Alex is where you're going to do yours. You're going to have to create your table and then plot it, and then you can see the roots exactly. Those will be easier to see. You won't have to estimate. Okay, this guy looks a little different. I don't have a B value. So my A was 1, my B is 0, and my C is 3. So opposite of B, so just 0, and then 2 times my A, 0 divided by 2. If you punch that into your calculator, you should get 0. That's my X. For my Y, I'm going to substitute this 0. I forgot to add that. Sorry, I just went up there and boxed out that answer. So if I substitute 0 in, I should get 3. Okay, so 0, 1, 2, -1, -2. Well, it's always easier to plug in positive numbers. So I'm going to use my positive numbers. So 1 squared plus 3 gives me 4. 2 squared plus 3 gives me 7. Back this way, 4 and 7. Plot them. What did we say that was? 3. So -2, 7. So -2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That one I could probably get in. -1, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 0, 1, 2, 3. 1, 4, 2, 7. Here's my parabola. My domain is still all real numbers. My range, my y values are greater than or equal to, what is that, 1, 2, 3? Same as that value here. I have no solutions, so there's nothing else to add there. So it does not cross this X. Let's see, what else was I going to say about this? My A is positive, so it goes upwards, and I have a minimum value. We discussed that yesterday. Okay, 2 more. So today's job really is just to take notes. Your assignment is not going to be due until Friday. So today's notes, Friday is your assignment. And it's going to be on Alex. so that way you can actually graph it and see what your zeros are. All right, so here, anytime it says anything other than y, you can change this to y. So if it's an f of x or 0, change to y equals. Okay, so this one, I'm going to change it. I'm going to say y equals x squared minus 2x minus 8. Plus, if you're working with a graphing calculator, they don't like the zeros here, and they don't like the f of x. So they will always want you to change those two things to y, and we're going to get into graphing shortly. Okay, so my x is equal to my negative, the opposite of negative 2x is a positive 2x, or positive 2, and then 2 times my a, which is 1. Solve that, and you should get 1. Now we're going to substitute that back into our equation. So y is equal to 1 squared minus 2 times 1 minus 8.